I really thought today, some of you may have, this may be repetition, but I thought you might be interested in an update of things going on at Love Inc. Right now. There's just so much going on. We're having a hard time. We feel like we need all of you to be our coaches because our heads aren't above water. It's hard to plan and think very well when you've got a lot going on. So we're feeling a lot of I guess, compassion for our clients right now. So let me just take a moment and say a quick prayer for us. God, I just thank you for all these amazing volunteers and for all those that aren't able to join us, and for just the community of just willing hearts that you've joined to help our neighbors. And I pray that today you would draw us closer to one another and to you, and just put hope in our hearts for what's ahead. Never has there been a time when the words from "O Holy Night" have meant more, that say, "A weary world rejoices." We are a weary world, but we are rejoicing because your Savior is born. And we have hope in him and in all that you're doing in the earth. So thank you, and just help us during this hour to just be at peace, and just take a moment to just celebrate together all that you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, we're amazed at what's happened during this pandemic. I think we've helped at least 1/3 more people than we've ever helped in a year. And we've done it with a lot of virtual phone calls and deliveries and lots of barriers. I'm sorry, one barrier is my phone is talking right now and I can't get it to shut off. But the number of coaching appointments have gone way up in every area. The amount of furniture that we've delivered, every practical service, the number of moves, it's all gone way up in spite the challenges. And it's really just because so many people have come alongside to help. And we couldn't be more grateful, but it also just feels like, because of just pushing our way into the pandemic, the community has really stepped in behind us to try to give us a more central location and be more accessible. Sorry. Oh, Kelly just came in. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
you're fine. You sound good.
Okay, we've been having a lot of internet problems here, so I didn't want to keep talking, assuming you could hear me. Thanks for participating, for making that possible. Honestly, it's really just been a wonder to us. The phones keep ringing, and somehow we've been able to help most of the people that have called. We, as you know, have particularly tried to focus on families with children, and especially those dire needs, people who are homeless. We have gotten some help through the CARES Act, and that has helped us basically double the amount of financial assistance that we've given. And last year it was about 120,000, and that was just all strictly from private donations that we raised through the community. But this year it's been that much plus double that from CARES Act money, which of course takes a lot more work to figure all that out. But we have received money through the Department of Economic Development CARES Act, and just yesterday we received an award of $35,000 through the Boone County CARES Act. The sad thing about that is that we're very slow in getting that out, and it all has to be spent before December 30th. We got it for hotel and rent assistance. Kelly Van Doren tells me no problem, she can figure this out. She's always got people that need help, but so we're working hard to spend it. They don't give it to you ahead of time, so you have to spend it. It affects your cash flow. The Extra Mile coaches would be very stressed out if they saw all that work with the cash flow. And then we prove that we've spent it on what we said, and then they reimburse us. So There's been a lot of extra work going into it, but we felt like it was worth doing the extra work, writing these long applications, tracking all of this in minute detail, because the money was available and people in our community really need the help. So that's added to the workload, but yet it's been a joy to get that extra money. I'm going to stop a minute. Does anybody have any questions about the CARES Act money and what COVID relief funds are out there before I move on to the building?
Jane, I know of a family of 4, the mom and dad and 2 kids that had COVID. And of course, mom and dad wasn't able to work during that quarantine period. And then after they got out of quarantine, both cars broke. The motor blew up in one car and transmission in the other car. And so they had to get car transportation so they could work. But then now the rent is a month behind. Is that the kind of people?
Can you give us their number or have them call us?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, those are the situations that now with this $35,000, we could try to step into.
Okay. Okay.
It's not enough. We did have a situation where one of our volunteers overheard a City of Columbia utility employee last week. She was helping someone figure out her utility situation and she was behind, and the City of Columbia Utilities employee said, well, just call Love Inc. because they just got $1 million. They should be able to pay everybody's utility bill.
Yeah.
And so of course that $1 million donation from Veterans United was for the new building. It wasn't for utility bills. But so we are dealing with the downside, you know, of blessings as well, and just trying to juggle community perception and still just trying to help as many people as we can with what we have. But I don't want to put in the newspaper that we have the 35,000 because we will figure out how to spend it. Just with situations like yours, this family, they may be behind $1,000 or more. I would imagine if you're behind 2 months in rent. And so it's not really that much money, but you know, we can help. We want to help. So if you, as your coaching people, do know someone, right, one of your participants who is really struggling and you think that they could use the help, we may be able to do more than we usually can right now.
The only criteria for that is it has to be used for rent, right? It can't be used for utilities.
It has to be used for rent or for hotels. We actually, as of yesterday, had the lowest hotel census that we've had since COVID. I think we only had, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we only had 7 families in hotels yesterday. And at Thanksgiving, we had 17. So it's really been a lot on Kelly and Conrad and some of the other staff who have helped some of these folks in hotels get housing. And I don't know, Conrad, maybe you'd like to share just a little bit, or Kelly, just some of that process of what you've been doing. You may have read about it in some of our newsletters, but it's a lot of it has just been, Conrad has done so much research on second chance landlords and just trying to we are all just getting so much more experience because of the volume of just who qualifies for what and where you can go and who might rent to you, and just working through different situations that I feel like we're able to work a lot smarter and faster maybe than ever before with some of these people with challenges to getting rented to. Would you agree, Conrad?
I would say so. I mean, my experience only goes back 8 months, 10 months, I guess now. But I would say that, yeah, we've definitely been able to respond a lot more quickly over the last 2 or 3 months, especially to a lot of the needs. And typically the situation with hotel assistants is that somebody's coming in and they may not have a job. They, you know, the reason why they're in a hotel is, you know, because they've had several barriers. And so we're trying to help them out on several different fronts. Maybe they only have disability income. And so we're trying to figure out the best way forward for that. And Kelly can speak more to some of the the city resources that have been available, but we've been really, I think we've been blessed with the right, or at least a sufficient amount of financial assistance at the right time, whether that was the grant that we had that ran through November, or the TVRA funding that came through the Housing Authority over the last few weeks here, and then now getting this CARES Act money through the county. We didn't always know where some of the assistance was going to come from, but we've been able to do that, and that's helped us both put people in hotel rooms, but also be able to promise a deposit, first month's rent, to help them get over that barrier. Because if you're in a hotel and you're spending 50% of your income on a hotel room, then there's just no money left over to try to get a deposit saved and try to get into your own place, even if you can afford the rent each month. So that's allowed us to do that as well.
Kelly has been working with Columbia Housing Authority. They got money for tenant-based rental assistance vouchers. It's like a Section 8 voucher, but for people with barriers. It lasts for a year, and then if you did well on the program, you may be able to transition into a what you'd call a regular voucher, or a regular housing choice voucher that would be more permanent. But it takes a lot of hand-holding. You have to accompany the people to the appointments, and you have to promise that you will provide monthly contact with them for a year, for that year while they're in the program. And for that reason, there are other agencies that just don't want to make that commitment. But for some of the folks that have been in hotels, what we've seen is there's absolutely no other path forward to them getting housing than one of these special vouchers. Some of them have $700 a month income through disability. And as you know, you can't rent an apartment and live on $700 at market rate rent in Columbia. So Kelly was able to get 3 people approved last week. Now it seems like the train's moving a little slower. It can be frustrating to us because we're paying for hotels while we're waiting for the wheels to turn what seems like very slowly sometimes on bureaucracy. Kelly, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah. So one of the things we've done is just really help get the applications complete and get all the supporting documents they need, because that's quite a barrier. And a lot of people in hotels have had possessions stolen or lost, or they were in a storage unit that they no longer have access to. So we've had to help them get birth certificates for their children and social security cards and driver's license or non-driver's license. So there's so many pieces to getting the application in and complete. And then also just kind of shepherding it along, what's the status and what do you need from us or from them, and then helping them. But yeah, we have someone who may move in on Friday from a hotel. So that's very exciting. And we also continue to help people apply for other income-based housing, but I don't know if it's the pandemic exactly, but those waiting lists have been moving very slowly. I did hear from someone who was at a Columbia Housing Authority appointment, and they said, this was a couple weeks ago, 15 of 16 of their maintenance guys were out of the office because of COVID, either had COVID or were quarantined from close exposure. So it's hard for them to get units ready when they don't have anybody at work. So we just are facing lots and lots of delays right now. And even the people in our extra mile homes, things are just moving much slower than normal pace because of all the delays everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does anybody have a comment about any of that? Yeah. So
Kelly, it's Monica Cruz.
What?
Do you guys need help like assisting these individuals getting documentation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need help every step of the way, because a lot of the people we're working with don't have a car. Of course, they don't have a printer, or just, and sometimes not even good internet access. So there are lots of challenges. So it literally does take hours for each case. And again, then there's committing to stay with that person. If that's part of the requirement to get these vouchers for the TVRA, the tenant-based rental assistance. So just making that commitment. We did have one volunteer in the community who actually has been an activist in the homeless community. At one point, actually himself lived at St. Francis House. Well, he befriended a homeless man with some mental health issues, but he's been very helpful. I just said, look, you can't just keep bringing people to us. You got to get engaged. And he took that on, and he stayed engaged with this man and is going to help be a support person for him if we can get him housed. We're working with barriers in his case of just a lot of paranoia. Suddenly he would become fearful and of the process even. But it's working. We're just as a team and bringing in community volunteers. So yes, Monica, just someone to steady people's nerves as they're going through the process and speak kind, calming words can go so far. But we've also been, we just have to do things that are kind of out of the ordinary. Somebody may owe a back bill to, say, the Mexico Housing Authority, and they could actually get in somewhere if we just paid that bill, but they can't pay the bill. So just finding ways that we can help overcome barriers that they could be stuck forever as a homeless person until they can get an old bill of some kind paid. And there's really no fund for that other than just raising private funds to do it. Randy Mueller's on the call, and he sent an article yesterday from the Washington Post about the numbers of people that are just quite a few months behind. And that has become a challenge. If someone owes, we've had calls of people owing $4,000, and that's very hard for us to come up with that much money. And sometimes you can get the landlord to wait and you can pay part of it and work out a payment plan. We've had one situation where we can't, and so we're just having to help the person find other housing. So with whatever we can do to try to keep people in their housing, we want to do it. We just got an email today from the Missouri Housing Development Corporation that commission that they may have some funds for arrears rental. So all the time we're hearing news of possible new funding streams, but people don't know quite how to access it. And then there's lots of steps and hoops, and it's just all very complicated. It can be overwhelming to us, so it could certainly be overwhelming to our clients. So we try to stay abreast of it all because we don't want to miss out on any resource that there might be. Some of you may have heard of the community block grant, community development block grants that the city gets every year and has funding for different projects. And they have a COVID relief fund, $737,000 for 2021. That there's a portion of that is for rent and utilities. And so we are for the first time applying for that for 2021. That we're asking for $100,000 again, just because we don't see any end in sight of the need. But I can't tell you how long the application is and how many documents that have to be attached and things for that. So it's a lot of work, but again, we're just trying to do that work so that if there is any money out there we can access, we can grab it. So we'd love all your prayers about just that whole process. So in the midst of all this, amazingly, our board launched this capital campaign to buy the Boone County Family Resources building at 1209 East Walnut, and that is going very well. We actually have in the bank, I think, almost $2.4 million in the bank, which is pretty amazing since we didn't start this capital campaign since September. The closing cost price for the building is $3.05 million. We do have some more pledged, and I have an outstanding pending grant out there for $300,000. I would like your prayers on that. So my hope and my prayer is that we won't have to take out a mortgage by January 31st, or it will just be a short-term mortgage we could get paid off the last thing we want to do is get into this building, and have more expenses that will hinder us from our mission. But all signs are good. If anybody knows anyone who might like to donate to the building fund, yes, we still need money, but God has really helped us, and there's been so much generosity. It's just unbelievable, really. And anyone on this call that's donated, thank you so much. Of course, you've heard that Veterans United gave us $1.75 million, so that was pretty huge. And I believe that they will make an ongoing commitment to help us in that new facility. We will be occupying, the building is actually a 1930s building, Stevens College. It was a maintenance building and a admin building that Boone County Family Resources purchased 25 years ago and joined the two buildings with a common foyer. We will be occupying what was the maintenance building. It's 12,000 square feet. We're calling it the Ash Wing. And then the about almost 10,000 square feet is the Walnut Wing, and that is 2 stories. And we are renting that. It looks like Coyote Hill is going to rent the bottom floor for their foster care program. And we are in serious conversation with Dr. Erin Thompson from the School of Social Work to rent the top floor for the Family Access Center for Excellence, FACE. That's the entity that was started through the Children's Trust Fund when several years ago that quarter-cent sales tax was started in Boone County to provide for children's mental health services. They are kind of the triage entity for parents to bring children with mental health concerns where they can get help, or even just juveniles with mental health can access help there. In some ways, it's a little bit similar to Love Inc. and how we triage. So it would be very cool to have them in our building. So they would be there, plus the Boone County Schools Mental Health Coalition and a social science research group that are all overseen by Dr. Erin Thompson from the School of Social Work. So we're hoping it works out that they rent the top floor. It would be great for us to just have 2 tenants, and then hopefully that will bring in money that will help us cover the added expenses of utilities and security and all those types of things. So we're really could not be more excited. There are 2 houses on the property. One we will try to get opened as soon as possible for a transitional home. It will be the 7th home in our Extra Mile Homes program. You may know it would be the 2nd home that Love Inc. owns. 2 homes are owned by a local church, and then 3 homes are provided by individuals who are just making those homes available. So the 7th home would certainly be put to good use for homeless families with kids. First Baptist Church is meeting this week, and they may be going to adopt the home to provide the utilities and some coaching support. So lots of people interested in helping. I'm sure another church will step forward if it doesn't end up being a good fit for them. We have a community garden that's there, and we have a vacant lot, and then another house that we're not quite sure what we're going to do with. We could be a home for interns. It could end up being another transitional home. We would love input, prayer, ideas as we move into this new building. It's definitely going to be wonderful to be centrally located, but it's going to open up a lot more probabilities of people just walking in. We don't want it to become a warming station for the homeless. We want to keep to our mission of this is a place where people come to find a path forward in their life. The lobby, will probably need lots of volunteer greeters though, which I'd love to throw that out if anybody's interested. Randy Mueller, you ran the emergency room at Boone Hospital, so you probably need to come over and show us how to direct traffic in this place. But we want to make the lobby more of a visitor center with information as opposed to just a place to come and camp out for the day. And then you would come and get an appointment for all the different types of coaching. We're hoping as we get established and the pandemic wanes that we would offer classes on a regular basis. And I'm going to stop talking and let Conrad talk about that for a minute.
So what we've been discussing with a handful of you, I think that are on the Zoom call right now, has been taking our Jobs for Life program and making it fit our clients and our community here and what we already have available through our materials and resources, and making it a little bit more flexible. So Jobs for Life would kind of be turning into a career class that either we could host on a regular basis or potentially have just standing days and times during the week that somebody could come in for resume work or for interview assistance. That would just be kind of a standing class that we could do for walk-ins, or let's say a service coordinator meets with somebody on Monday afternoon, finds out that they need help with finding a job, and so they refer them to career coaching. But that week they could get them into a class on Wednesday afternoon to have some help with their resume done right away, and maybe meet a couple of people, so that it helps keep our pipeline from being slowed down. Right now, it can take a week or two when somebody comes in to when they can actually get paired with a coach, especially from that first contact, the first phone call that we get. And so this would allow that to be much more quick, so they can get a resource right away. But what that's going to mean is that we have to have both that plan worked out, and we also will need people that are willing to host those. So if somebody's willing to host, say just an hour-long class on interviewing, or a workshop on interviewing, or host a resume skills class, and we don't anticipate that would be the same person every single time. But if we could have people that have expertise or interest in helping in those areas, that could dedicate an hour a week or an hour a month to something like that, that would be fantastic.
And we would like to eventually expand that beyond even just career classes to just an array of other types of life skills classes. I don't know if anybody on this call, Edie for sure would remember our old Living Large for Real series that we did for 6 years. And we had really a whole range of different classes that we offered once a week. And this is where people's talents and gifts and interests can really be put on display and used to help people in need. So in our old Living Large program, we had everything from pest management in your house to frugal shopping to healthy relationships to addiction support. So there's really the sky's the limit on what kind of classes we could have available to engage volunteers. That there's something somebody feels they want to teach, then we would just get that out there, and it would be on a calendar that would be posted in our lobby and circulated to make that available. We definitely want to have some classes on healthy relationships, which Conrad has done some of, and we feel like that's such an integral issue that we see with so many people we work with. Some Debbie Karwoski and Roger right now are working on, they've done some housing coaching videos, but I'm launching them into transportation coaching a little bit. And that's another big need. How do you figure out what's your best transportation option? And if it is to buy a car, then what does that entail? So just going deeper in a lot of the different areas where we have now. We've recently had a volunteer step forward who, in his first career, he was a teacher, and then he became a business owner. And then after retirement, before he moved to Columbia, he did some GED tutoring. Of course, it's now HiSET. So he's passionate about this. And so since we've engaged him in the last few months, he's been working with 2 different individuals who they just needed individualized help. They tried the various approaches to get their high school equivalency, and they really just needed someone to come alongside and kind of shepherd them through. So he's had some real success with one individual that it looks like she's going to actually get her diploma next year. And this is something she's wanted forever, from when she dropped out of high school at age 16 to have her first child. She's now in her 40s. So he wants to have a class, a small group of people doing that. There'll be room now for us to have a space for just the volunteers that God brings us to have a place to do what they are passionate about doing. And so that was one of the main reasons for me wanting to talk on this call and just share that with the coaches. Edie used to teach childbirth classes. Maybe we'll revive that, Edie. I don't know. We have other, so many volunteers with different areas. I've kind of intrigued. I've had 3 attorneys mention wanting to help recently, and I don't know what that could ever look like, but I don't know. We'll just see at the Love Columbia Center what might transpire. We would also like to have an area in our life coaching section for spiritual development and discipleship. We had several clients who want that, and then to have a place where we could have a prayer room for people who just come and they just really want someone to pray with them. So all of this, there will be room for it, and we just want to throw the door open to you all who have so faithfully served, just to be thinking and helping us think what are going to be the things that will really help people. How can we most help? And that's what we want to do in this building. Larry McDaniel's the director of Coyote Hill, and he's going to have his office there. And he has a passion for helping men who struggle with anger issues. So I'm like, okay, Larry, we'll have something there. So I don't know what we will have, but it's going to be good, I think. So I'd love to hear any of your thoughts and ideas, either now or email, as we're just pondering the best way to serve the community in this amazing gift we're being given.
Hey, Jane, how is the configuration of the new center looking in terms of use as it is, or going to take quite a bit of redesign to get it into condition for that which we want to do?
The side that we are using, and honestly, Kelly and Conrad should describe it, and we will have a coach connection hopefully there. It's basically 2 long hallways with, how many offices is it that we have on our side? Do you guys remember? 35, maybe?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, we want to take, the only configuration that we're going to need to do is in the back. There are 4 offices. I think we're going to take the walls out and make a larger meeting room that would hold about 120, or in social distancing days, less. But so it doesn't need a lot of work, honestly, other than we want to make a larger space. There are 2 hallways. One would primarily be the hallway for the service coordinators, the clearinghouse, the coaching rooms. The other side would be some volunteer training and more the admin side. But we want to have a place where volunteers can gather to brainstorm or meet. For Columbia is an entity, I don't know, some of you are familiar with the 1 day of service with For Columbia, but they're wanting to get more involved just on an ongoing basis with smaller projects. So they'll have a little spot on that side too, just to engage volunteers that want to do practical services like home repairs or something that would not be the direct coaching. So I don't think it's going to need a lot of work, honestly. Is somebody here? Oh, okay. This is my husband bringing my lunch during the Zoom meeting. Okay. Okay. So, but yes, anybody that wants a tour, even before we move in, if there was a group that wanted a tour, we can arrange that. And anybody that we'd love to get input. We want to make this path out of poverty, path to a better life really clear by the actual physical arrangement of the offices and the rooms. So there is one volunteer, Marcy Almond, I don't know if she's on here, from Woodcrest, who has a friend who retired as a wayfinder, interior design person for the university. So we want to seek even some experts in how do we just make the visual really clear of what we're trying to do. But I am not going to be able to do that. So all of you are going to have to help us.
Hi, Jane. Yep, I'm on. And
Okay.
actually, Tina and I and Aaron were able to go to the facility yesterday. Got a great tour. I'm actually printing out the blueprints for Tina today, and she will have to set up some more time for you and Pat. She had a lot of ideas and is just trying to, exactly as you said, she really wants to help bring the vision to a reality. And I think we're just getting a lot more basic blocking and tackling, figuring out what they're going to leave, what they're not going to leave, how we want things to look, how we want it to feel, what the flow needs to be. So we're both really excited to be helping with it. It's a great, great project.
Any, Kelly, Conrad, Marcy, anybody who's seen it? Maybe some of you have actually been in the building before when the current tenant owners have any more comments to describe the building?
Can you hear me okay?
Not very well.
Okay, my microphone's not the best. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. This is Julie. I just was gonna say, it's really nice, the kitchen spaces too, or access to places to provide people, even teach people how to cook. That just another space that I thought was a nice dreaming space too.
Good point. Good point.
Mhm.
This is Monica. I didn't quite hear her. Is there a kitchen in there?
Yes.
Yeah, there are a couple of like break rooms that are pretty much full kitchens, which is nice. I will say they're based on how the thinking of the different tenants. So you walk into the main lobby, and if you're standing in the lobby to the left, it's kind of a split level building. So there will be the top, and that would be one tenant, and then the bottom would be the other tenant. And then if you go to the right, that would be all Love Inc. And each side has a pretty substantial break room and, dishwasher and microwaves and refrigerators and all that kind of thing. I think Julie was saying that's a great feature because in the vein of having classes, you could teach people how to cook, just basic cooking skills right there on site, which would be nice. If I captured you right, Julie, if
Yes,
that
thank
makes
you.
sense.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I still want to help do the cooking classes.
Okay. We want everybody.
You know how I am.
Yeah, that's great. And we might be able to grow some of our own vegetables and cook them in the garden out there. So
Don't think I haven't thought about tomatoes and canning them already. And beets.
So yeah, Kelly and Conrad, any more comments you've got about the space?
Well, the layout, Boone County Family Resources has used that side of the building primarily for their support staff, their direct service staff, and then some of their executive staff. So it's set up primarily as office spaces. The only thing that we don't have is maybe a clear space that would be more of a classroom size that we would like to be able to offer. So that's why we have that large meeting room planned, that we could at least have a big meeting room space. But we are still trying to be a little bit more creative on how we could best use the rooms in a way that we could do, classes of like 8 to 10. So we're working on considering that. But as far as individual offices, coaching rooms, it's got as much as we could ever imagine needing right now and more. So we're great as far as those coaching rooms go, especially.
And that's what I'm excited about. We don't have to worry about double booking because everybody will have a space to meet. If they want to all meet at 1 o'clock, we can put you all in.
That's right.
It looks like there's pretty good parking too, even behind the transitional house. There's some parking there too. And I don't know, it appears to be quite a bit of parking space for downtown.
A lot. Yes, for sure.
There's a private lot that I think we estimated maybe 60 spaces. And then the public lot is about 20, 25 spaces. So there's quite a bit of room there.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out getting you guys all places to park. I do think that there's a little bit of trouble shooing students out of there. So we'll have to figure out what they do. I think they do some towing.
Yes.
I drove by the
There-
other night over the weekend and the entire public lot was full of Brookside students because it is right across the street from the Brookside apartments.
What I'm told by the BCFR receptionist is at about 5 minutes to 8, the kids flood out and empty the parking lot because they know they're going to get towed at 8 o'clock. So
Yeah.
I guess they're used to that. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate that. Maybe some of them will come and volunteer.
Just put an alternative sticker that you can either be towed or you can volunteer.
Good point. Great idea.
We want to be as welcoming as possible. So we're just, I don't know what time it is. We're going over time, but we
It's
are
4:42 right now, so you've got about 15, 18 minutes left.
okay. We just really can't say enough how much we're going to want volunteers to come and be there. Because we are expecting to have a lot more people that want to come there for help. Our visibility is going way up. And it's going to take a lot of people coming alongside. So we are very excited. I'll tell you a little bit about the Love Seat, and Marcy is also involved in that. But the Love Seat is already in the process of moving from where they are to 2600 Range Line. The old Lee's Lawn and Garden next to Casey's across from Wilson's Gym, and it's a grind. They have a little bit larger floor space for a store that as the one now, but it's arranged much better, so they'll be able to fully use it. They have an apartment above the store where the owner lived. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So there will be space up there for the Love Seat staff and volunteers, the store manager, the furniture bank coordinator, Tully Douse will have an office up there. And there should be at least one room designated for coaching. Several of our Love Seat volunteers also are volunteer coaches. So we're excited about that possibility. We're excited about having Dressed for Success classes up there and then opportunities to go shop. We just even teaching things to people who are going to be getting furniture for the first time. I know that we've probably helped about 120 families so far this year get whole households of furniture, plus about 200 plus, I have quit counting, have gotten to shop at the store with vouchers. So I don't know how that will take off, but we'll need volunteers there. We've always wanted to do more with the families that are getting furniture. Just even talking to them about turning down the thermostat or how to save money, or there's just different, who knows what could happen, but there will be opportunities and space now. On that property, there are 2 warehouses, a 4,000 square foot warehouse that will be for the resale store and a 2,000 square foot warehouse that will primarily be just for the furniture bank. It is heated. I don't think either of the warehouses are in impeccable shape, but I think they're all right. There may be an opportunity for families to shop for their furniture, the free furniture. That's always been a goal of ours. There's also a gated area for our trucks. And some of you may have heard us mention that we've had several catalytic converters stolen out of the trucks on the business loop, some other issues there. So the staff and volunteers are so excited to feel like they've got a more secure place. The new place also has 30 parking spaces and you can get into it from both directions. So it's just going to feel amazing to them. They're out there today power washing the floors because it was a lawn and garden place where they fixed greasy lawnmowers apparently. So they're getting it all cleaned up, going to put in a washer dryer and a couple of fitting rooms, and then we will be able to move in. The arrangement there is a lease arrangement, but we do have an option to purchase it. Our rent will go toward the purchase price for the first 6 months if we opt to purchase. And then it will give us time to just determine, is this a good location for us? Is this someplace where we'd like to stay permanently, that we might want to make that investment? Is that, in the realm of feasibility? But it feels good that there's an option to either continue renting or possibly even to buy that property. And there is some vacant lot on the property. Marcy could maybe speak to this, where there could even be a drive-through drop-off at some point. We could maybe really get up into the big time. So, Marcy, you got any comments? You've been out there.
No, it looks fantastic. I think some of the biggest things I have on my project plan are again, just trying to coordinate between the two locations to make it as simple for Love Inc., the Love Seat, the warehouse, so that the security systems are combined, that the phones might be connected, that there's internet services, so that both locations are wired and ready to rock and roll as quick as they can be. Great locations, great facilities, both of them. And I think you guys have really hit the mark. I can't wait to see what you do with it, because it's fantastic.
Thank you. We're pretty excited. And the Love Seat, I think the target is to start being able to sell out of there and be located there for the Furniture Bank in January. That's my latest understanding.
Yeah.
And then we get the keys to the BCFR building January 31st. I'm sure that our operation here will close for a week. I don't know if it'll be the first week of February or at some point in February to accomplish that move. It's such a breakneck pace here. We really just couldn't keep open and try to get everything moved. We are closing our office the week between Christmas and New Year's. We've always done this just because the staff need to rest. And it just gets, by Christmas, it's pretty overwhelming with the need, usually spikes right in December. So that will be good for us too. So again, we're just praying for the pandemic to wane and for more people to be able to get involved in a face-to-face way. It's amazing what's happened though, isn't it?
It really is.
I
think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but amazing. So, anybody got any questions?
I don't have any questions, but having been a part of this organization for about 6 years, and just seeing how different people's visioning and imaginings have come to fruition, it's just a huge blessing. And Jane, you have been the person who's led this vision. I know you and Pat too, but it's just thank you for what you're doing, what you've done for Columbia, and then visioning and staying with this, and the stamina and perseverance to get things done. Kelly Van Doren too, man, she is just rocking it there. And Conrad, I mean, just a great staff. What a wonderful team.
We really do have people that feel very called to this. It's not just an 8-to-5 job. They feel very called to it and just go above and beyond the call of duty. But the volunteers do too. It's amazing how generous volunteers are with their time and their resources, and it's really just the synergy is so gratifying and honestly exhilarating at times around here. We still thrill when somebody walks in with a certain, even if it's just a certain item, and then somebody calls in the next 5 minutes and needs that item. Those are the things, or a certain skill, that just thrill our hearts, and we know that God's hand is upon this whole operation.
And also,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say how so much of what we do is only possible because of volunteers, because you step up and match up with someone, then they can live in the house and they can get a loan and they can get their finances together. And sometimes they get rent help and all kinds of things that are made possible because a volunteer is willing to walk beside them.
And I was just, in every area, we're hearing more and more, it's just what really makes a difference is not just professional staff getting involved, it's the people in the community. And that really changes lives. Conrad, would you like to share about that research you just heard about yesterday or last week, maybe, from the Second Chance Coalition?
Sure, yeah, there's a pretty new coalition called the Second Chance Coalition that was just launched a few weeks ago. And it's for helping people that are on the sex offender registry obtain housing. That's one of the hardest barriers they face, is trying to get into affordable housing that's within finding a landlord that will rent to them in the first place, and in the areas that they're restricted to. And of course, it's a stigmatized population. So this coalition exists to try to help build relationships with landlords and try to identify options. But we were on a call with somebody from Vermont with an organization that's several years further down the road, who's working with the Vermont Department of Corrections. And they've had put together a program that was designed and intended for volunteers that would come alongside people that are on the registry, that are looking for housing, recognizing that they're just not nearly as successful when they work with professionals, whether that's case managers or people like us, even other nonprofits and NGOs. It doesn't seem to matter. If it's a professional, they can only take things so far. But when they have a volunteer that's willing to sacrifice their time and is just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, that makes a huge difference. They have a model of support and accountability. All of the pieces are in place to be successful, but they found that having these volunteer relationships are what really make the difference in the long run, and whether or not someone is going to end up, back in prison again, or whether or not they're going to be able to be successful and land a job and have stable employment, even for their mental health, emotional health, their well-being, and then of course their stable housing down the road. So that was just, as I heard about that, it spoke to our model. And we've been in crisis mode for a while. And in fact, I think that most of my experience at Love Inc. so far has been crisis management, but it's been kind of refreshing to step back and be reminded that what makes the biggest difference is not how many coaching sessions I'm able to get done, on a weekly basis, but it's how many volunteers are able to, go further with our clients than what we can do as staff, and to really come alongside them. It's been great to see what you guys have been doing as you've been engaged, and how you've walked with our clients so far. And I really believe that's what makes the difference in the long run.
I don't know why, but I'm thinking about something that my daughter said to me when she was young. I said something nice. I think she was feeling down about herself, and I said something nice about what a awesome person she was. And she said, "Oh, Mom, you've got to say that. You're my mom. It would just mean so much if somebody else said it." And I think even with someone who's being quote unquote paid to help you, it's just a different feeling than someone that's genuinely just giving their time and energy to help because they just have a heart to do it, and because they see you're valuable. And I will just never forget the one lady that said to me, "You all believed in me until I could believe in myself." And that's what I think just having a volunteer come alongside you does for you. It gives you such a sense of worth. So again, yeah, what Kelly, Conrad are saying, we just can't thank you enough. We want to do better at providing the structure and support you need, but we probably need you to even help us do that. So anyway, just really can't thank you enough.
Something that comes to mind, and Marcy, wow, with the work you're doing, that is awesome to be able to vision out those spaces. If somebody would draw a simple map of the rooms and what's in them, that might be helpful for others who are trying to think about that space and imagine those spaces. I bet you've probably already done that or considered that, but.
No, Julie, that's a great point. And actually that would help me too. That's part of what I'm trying to get the blueprint And then I can create from the blueprint something simpler. And my friend Tina is great. She's a wonderful designer and very good at people moving. And totally gets it that if you have to explain it, you've missed the mark. So we humans need to be able to walk into a building and have the signage and the descriptions and make it completely obvious where you go next or what you do here. So I'm so excited that she's a part of the project and that she's really taken it to heart. And I'll work on trying to get a simple diagram. I'm sure we'll go back and forth trying to make sure that from multiple inputs that everybody that's the vision that is created, because I think that's where it really helps to have lots of eyes on the project. No offense, Jane, but
No, are you kidding me? I know that better than anyone.
right. So we'll make sure that that makes
I'm gonna
sense.
get lost in there, so I'm gonna need a lot of help. I mainly just said put my office near the bathroom, so
We may just have you going in circles,
yes,
so it'll be okay.
So yes, so that's really exciting. But we do want all your input. I keep saying this is a building where neighbors help neighbors in a building provided by neighbors. And that's really going to be what we say over and over again. So I really feel like it's going to provide that confidence to people that walk in that your neighbors thought enough of you and believed in you enough to provide this building and to provide these clear steps that you can take to have a better life.
And this
So
building is going to be more accessible, handicap accessible.
It is. It's pretty accessible now. That's one of the new things. Actually, there is an elevator in the building. So that's one of the things I'm trying to also put together is with that comes new expenses, because there's a lot of new things that this building has that right now the current building they don't have to worry about. But yes, it is one. If you walk in the front door, you can, at least for the Love Inc. side, you don't have to go. You can be all on one level, and then for the other two tenants, there is an elevator that they can take up to that second level. Good point.
I'm so excited because every time someone leaves our building, my last words are, be careful on our steps. I'm going to have to think of a new way to close out my conversations with people, but I'm pretty excited about that. Kelly and Conrad, they want to do any more intakes in the car with people that couldn't get in here. So. Well, it's a big Merry Christmas, it feels like to us. We're sorry that we're not having a volunteer Christmas party this year. That didn't seem possible, but it's not because we don't appreciate you. Does anybody else have any last words, or anybody want to say anything else?
I just feel like I haven't done anything compared to what you all are doing. So I need to get busy and volunteer a little more. So I'll talk with you about that.
Well, there's going to be a space for you to do it. It's been a little hard here to make room for everyone. And we'll be able to take some student interns too. So if you know some young people that want to get involved in this kind of work, send them our way too. So anyway.
Jane, I wanted to add something. This morning I did a brief interview looking for work. And one of the requirements that after I was done with their manager's program is that I had to relocate to wherever they wanted me to be. And I was like, oh, I can't leave Columbia. And my first thought was, I can't leave Love Inc. Because you know that you guys have become my family.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. Well, you're getting a whole big new house.
That's awesome. And I can cook in it too.
That's right. And I do feel like there's going to be just, yeah, lots more opportunities for people to come and be there. And we want so many people to be there who can tell the story of how they have been helped. There'll be a lot more space for that too. So.
I think Evie, you're with Live Well by Faith too. Aren't you like a coach with that?
Yes.
Oh, that would be a great place for you guys to connect with folks maybe.
Yeah, Veronica's already thinking about that. Mhm.
We'll see.
Keep us in your prayers about the tenants. It's pretty confirmed with Coyote Hill. It's not yet with the others, and we just want the best thing. We don't know yet about the Victorian house, what exactly we're supposed to do with that. So there's the gardens. Julie's kind of the point person for the garden. So if anybody likes to garden, let us know. And then we thought about, we just want the whole place to look really beautiful. And just really, like we keep saying, what our theme was at the Linking for Love that we had in 2019 was just raising heaven's flag. How does it feel? How can we bring heaven to earth in the most tangible ways that people really experience the love of God and the value that God has placed on them as made in his image. So that's what we want. And thank you guys so much for making all that possible. I'll just close us in prayer. So God, again, we want to close this meeting and just say, you are amazing. And we love you so much. And we just ask that you would continue to pour out your spirit in our lives and in our hearts, that we might truly reflect you in the earth. We just thank you for this holiday season. And we pray that we would be able to spread hope and joy to a weary world. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right. Come stop by and put your mask on and see sometime.
Thanks, Jane. Thank you,
All
everybody.
right.
Nice to see ya.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Right.
Merry Christmas all.
Christmas.